Hello and welcome to The Quest on Rajya Sabha TV. I'm Rakhee Bakshee. This show has given you a lot of perspective on the lives, career and vision of leading personalities. And the leading personality this time is none less than Union Civil Aviation Minister, Mr. Ajit Singh. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you.
Let's begin with something which is really current and also one would say a little sad. What happened in Muzaffarnagar? How would you look at it today in perspective?
See, first you have to understand that it's a politically motivated whole thing. Elections are coming and some parties are feeling that they have to polarize voters to gain any advantage. If you look back a few months back in Ayodhya, the Chief Minister there met Mr. Singhal and others of VHP for 2 hours, and then they announced that yatra.
Exactly.
Which is has nothing to do with the Ayodhya temple. The Ayodhya temple man said that this is not time for this kind of yatra. But a lot of hype was done.
Do you think that flagged off Kosi Yatra?
8,000 policemen were employed there as if, and it was a non-event. So, but an attempt was made to rouse passions on both sides. Then if you look at what happened in Noida, that SDM was really trying to control the sand mafia. And the Chief Minister himself again and again tried to make it a Hindu-Muslim issue. Again in Muzaffarnagar, it was an event, a girl was being harassed, and these are very sensitive issues, whatever, whoever the caste, religion, whatever, people get annoyed at it. And if the police had acted properly at that point in time, nothing would have happened.
So you use the word politically motivated, and also we're looking at the time particularly. So how would you really look at the two?
Politically, when I said, see, the Samajwadi Party got unprecedented success in last assembly elections. Even Mulayam Singh didn't expect more than 160, 170 seats, and they got 230. So he suddenly thought now he has to be Prime Minister. Yes, everybody has that feeling, it's okay. But if you look at the record of the last year and a half, he realized that he's not going to win on that. Electricity rates were increased by 35 to 40% in one go. Law and order has totally collapsed in UP. There's 2,800 crore dues of sugarcane farmers from last year's are still due.
Sir, some would say that when you're raising such issues, what as a party and as the chief of Rashtriya Lok Dal, you have done in terms of the efforts that the party and...
See, today issue is how to bring people together, how to make sure that this thing stops and doesn't continue. See, if there is some kind of riot or something in a small town or a big town, you can impose curfew. Things get bad, you can get the army. But if this spreads to villages, there cannot be any police there, you cannot have any curfew there, then things will become very bad. So first thing we have to see, and are we going to make refugees in our own country? See, now what government in UP is trying is that those people who have gone should stay separately. That's a receipt for future problems. See, this interaction between different groups, different sections, different religion, then things don't go out of hand. But if we are totally separated, then anybody can incite. So first we have to make sure that those people who have gone away from villages should come back.
That's where, sir...
Even in Muzaffar riots took place in 4 or 5 villages only. But if fear psychosis is there, why would anybody take risk? Even if 5% risk of my family being harmed, they will go away. So we have to get rid of that family, this fear psychosis.
I think that's a very valid point you're making. But at the same time, if you look at communities and something what is called is public peace, which should really be there. So how would you look at communities now getting disoriented and, I mean, of course, affected also?
See, basically...
Very important, some of them, of course, your vote bank depends a lot on...
I'm not looking at it politically. Basically, you have to go to them, and I have talked to both communities. See, I have 3 generations of connections with major communities there, Muslims, Jats and others also. And most places they said that it was the fear psychosis. We have no problem with people who are living with us here. But they said at night some people come with black bands and they fire in the air. Who is going to protect us? So that's the fear psychosis has been created because lawlessness is there. These anti-social elements want these things to happen because then they can loot and this and that, everything.
So what is the...
See, if you saw that sting,
Yeah, I know.
about Muzaffarnagar.
And that
Yeah.
created another debate as to how social media sites or these video
Yes, I want to
coverages
say
should be
that
looked at.
media has played some at least media has played very dirty role in this. Exaggerated figures, so many killed
Certain
and
media,
so
you
many
would say.
moved. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. In this whole political framework right now and currently, Rashtriya Lokdal is trying to strengthen itself. And you are making visits to Muzaffarnagar, you're going and talking to people. So, what really is happening?
As I said, basically we want people to come back to their homes and sit together, sort out the problems. And now the fear in Muzaffarnagar is that a lot of victimization will take place. A lot of young people, no names, 60 people, FIR against them. A lot of young people go for interviews and all that. All that will be stopped now. So right now we have to make sure that people don't feel victimized. I have talked many of people, dominant community there, go and with honor bring those people who have gone away. Otherwise there is no way out. And I'm confident it will take time. See, where the riots have taken place, those villages, somebody has lost a dear one or their home or something, the wounds are very deep. It will take them some time. But where basically they have gone because of fear,
Yeah.
that can be reconciled. It won't take that
Okay,
long.
so you sound quite optimistic. We are going to take a very short break right now. You're watching The Quest. We are talking to Mr. Ajit Singh, Union Civil Aviation Minister. But don't go away. Keep watching The Quest. We are coming back. You're watching The Quest right now. We are talking to Mr. Ajit Singh. So politically, now the elections are on the head. How RLD will look at, let's say, political alliances? There is UPA, but so many things can be.
We are member of UPA and will continue to be member of UPA.
There is no other way right now. I'm
There
right
is
now
no other
talking to
way.
you, sir.
There is no other way.
Because a lot of political combinations would emerge. People are saying that every party is trying to make its own role strong there. There is BJP, which is trying all its best. So how?
I'm sure both parties are trying, the major parties, Congress and BJP, to add more allies. So therefore, it doesn't affect me in that way.
That's true. Coming also on to something which the ministry that you're handling, sir, and Jet-Etihad deal, of course, is something which is big right now and something which was talked about a lot, and we know why. So how do you look at this?
No, I think it's good for the Indian civil aviation sector, it's good for the passengers, it's good for the connectivity, it's good for the country. And I'm confident it will go through.
But people are going to courts again.
Of course, Supreme Court in its wisdom will take whatever decision they take. But I feel that bilaterals, about which the case is an agreement between two countries. And when we have an agreement between two countries, we take into account the sector-specific issues, like in this case it was civil aviation. So Kingfisher, had just gone under.
Exactly.
So the international passenger growth was there. Domestic was tapering off, but international passenger growth is very strong. So you had to take care of those passengers going abroad. So you had to have bilaterals with some country. And Abu Dhabi has been asking since 2012.
Okay.
And they again asked in January. Then finally, when we called the meeting of all the airlines, that's the procedure, IMG calls.
So are you okay with the balance?
Yeah, see, Indian carriers asked for 55,000 seats. They asked for 40,000 seats, and we gave about 36,000 seats. And it's not that it hasn't been done before. NDA government, 18 cities were declared open skies without discussing with anyone. In 2000, there was open sky for 2 months and lakhs of seats were used by other carriers. And as I said, it's an agreement between two countries. So while we take a look at the sector-specific things, civil aviation in this case, you also have to see what kind of relationship you have with that other country. What kind of trade and investment ties you have with that country. Are there any security issues? So looking at overall things, I think it's going to be good for the sector, for the country.
So you as a minister, of course, are also seen as somebody who's modern, progressive, trying to do a lot. But at the same time, when you try to do a lot, there are things which get talked about, which maybe other parties have to do. How would you look at the effort of yours personally and the ministry that you want to take ahead of making it more modern, getting more customer friendly kind of atmosphere?
See, we have done a lot of liberalization. When I became minister, Air India had the right of refusal for any flights to Gulf and any other country. We removed that thing. We said we'll take into account your capacity and your plan, but we will not allow you to stop other Indian carriers fly there. See, when I became minister in Dubai, Indian carriers were using only about 20,000 of the seats out of 54,000. Now they are using almost 50,000. So we liberally gave Indian carriers, everyone who asked, according to, and as I said, I pointed to you, Air India's plans and programs will be given priority, but they cannot say others won't get it. That was first.
You have talked a lot about the merit and performance bit, and you have said that, perform or perish. That's the statement you're making.
See, let me put it that I'm really amused at kind of reaction it has aroused. Some very passionate and some very angry, but all I can say is all ill-informed. See, we know this government has only about 6 months or so, so there is no definite plan to privatize it now, and that's not what I said. Some papers said I went back. I never said that we are going to do it. What I said was that government has given 30,000 crores to this sector. Over a number of years it will be disbursed. And Air India has improved a lot, their on-time performance. They are flying to so many different cities in the world now. Their load factor has gone up. Their revenue has gone up. Last financial year.
So you're saying, sir, all this talk about Air India getting privatized is not true?
No, it's part of that. So what I said was that, but government cannot keep on giving money to Air India. So what I said was that if there is a political consensus, and if public also feels that way, because public owns Air India, not us politicians. So government of the day will do if there is any privatization. I can do it. So,
I think that's where
people took as if I was going to do it.
Exactly. That's what I'm trying to say, that the whole fingers were pointed out as if, you're not taking really the government, so to say, and the consensus, so to say, in cognizance, but taking a lot of efforts which are being seen as individual efforts.
No, that's, as I said, you saw, if you watched that interview in TV 18, I was very clear what we are trying to do. And it's my view, and I'll again say it's my view that government should not be in the service sector and they should get out of it.
This point you're
And
making,
again,
sir, which is very interesting, actually.
Just look at the hotel industry.
Yeah.
Government was all over hotel industry at one time, and now they are almost out of it.
So, are we seeing a minister who's really, really so keen to give the customer its maximum, the due? And that's where maybe your challenges are?
Yes, always. See, this sector in this business, competition is dog-eat-dog competition. Margins are very thin. And like when Kingfisher went down, all airlines were very happy. So, and that big change that has taken place.
But how would you look at, again, a turning point? How Kingfisher is a sad story?
No, what I was going to say now, if you look exactly what has changed now after the FDI. See, earlier we had 3 international airlines, Kingfisher, Air India, and Jet.
Yeah.
All in financial stress, couldn't pay the airport, couldn't pay the oil companies in time. They were all cutting down their flights, international flights and everything. Now we have Air India, which is backed by the government of India, so financial problems are not there now. Jet-Etihad and Tata-Singapore. Not only their financial situation is much better, the management expertise that they will get, the reach they will get around the world because Etihad and Singapore are there. So that's very good for the sector. And that also shows, see, everybody knew that long-term Indian aviation has to grow.
Yeah.
In another 6-7 years, we'll be number 3 player in the world. But people, other countries had lost confidence, other airlines. Now, obviously, since Etihad are coming Singapore, that means that confidence, they have confidence in Indian civil aviation story.
So, I'm sure a lot of new things on the anvil. We are talking to Mr. Ajit Singh. You're watching The Quest. Don't go away. We are taking a very short break. So you're watching The Quest on Rajya Sabha TV, and we are talking to Mr. Ajit Singh. You were talking about this Tata deal again, something which is new and something which is again showing a lot of optimism in the sector. Is it so?
Yes. So, see, Tata has a big reputation in this field. His father started Air India, and then he has been trying to get into this field for quite some time now, airline business. Tatas are already in the helicopter, Westland helicopter, they have an agreement. They are getting into MRO. They are already in the catering of airlines and all that. So fine, they want to come in, and with a big name, it should be good for the aviation here, and the passengers especially.
So you're talking a lot about the welfare and their comfort of the passengers. So how would you look at this whole balance? Again, there are low-cost airlines. There is, of course, Air India, and there are new people coming in. So how do you look at this whole market or atmosphere?
See, the growth, there is enough growth, can be enough growth in India to none of these airlines have to worry. It can accommodate all of them because our penetration of civil aviation is very low here. And let me tell you, the high cost is there. That's one reason. And recently, last month, we called all the civil aviation ministers and secretaries, and we said that you should cut down the ATF taxes because the ATF accounts for up to 50% or more than 50% of the operational cost. And ATF taxes by states are up to 30%. See, up to now, there has been a feeling in the country that flying is for rich people. It has nothing to do with common people, middle class people, or growth. Now, everybody is beginning to realize that civil aviation sector is vital for economic growth. In Delhi's GDP, that airport accounts for 15.5%. Just that airport in Delhi's total GDP.
What are the new things coming up?
So therefore,
is there anything that you want to announce or say that things are happening?
No, in that respect, so all those, we tried to make them aware, and they go back and talk to their respective governments and cut down the taxes. Then we are asking for increasing connectivity, asking state governments not to have property taxes on the airport. Give us electricity, give us security. Airport authority will cut down on landing charges and security charges or ATS, navigation charges, totally. So make it viable for the airlines to fly to these small airports. Otherwise, we are making small airports and nobody is flying there.
That's the idea.
Yeah, so that's one thing we are doing for increasing connectivity.
Yeah. Sir, as a leader, how you juggle, let's say, between the constituency of yours, which is rural entirely, and the modern world or the aviation sector that you deal with. So how do you look at some of the challenges? For example, you represent the farming community. So in Uttar Pradesh, I'll come back again. How are you looking at their welfare? There are a lot of issues with the prices, with the kind of comfort that
See,
they
the
have.
biggest problem they have today, if you're looking at from farming point of view, is the sugarcane problem, because that's their only cash produce they have, and I think their economic survival depends on that. So, and as I pointed out, 2,800 crores due from last year, and no sugar mill this year wants to start milling because they think more sugar they produce, more they lose because of the costs involved and the market prices. So we tried to talk to, I asked Sharad Pawar, and Mr. Thomas is in charge of it, and we called Mulayam Singh also. And I was also there and said, let's take some action on that. You have to, if the mills don't, that sugar cane will have to be cut down in the field, and then there will be a lot of social unrest also.
In fact, sir, when you talk about the social unrest, do you think much of these problems arise also? And even I would say sometimes even communal tension. So this whole economic part plays again an important role, the discontent part.
You are so right about it, because if you look at what's happening, if you look at how the society is changing, see that information flow, internet, with one small telephone, now a young man knows what's happening in the world. So his aspirations have gone up. Now aspirations have gone up. He has a degree also. A lot of degrees are not worth anything, but even if you have a good degree, there are no opportunities. And earlier, see, urbanization is growing because in village, there is no more land to be divided. Even if young man goes to a city and studies something, there is no place for him at village. Not only economically, even otherwise, his lifestyle changes.
But some of these problems, do you
therefore-
think, are getting addressed? We have now
that's
food
the problem.
security bill, land acquisition,
That-
all these things are coming
That's
up.
the problem is where is the opportunity for young men now to earn and make a living and set up a home and all those things. So there's a lot of discontent amongst the young people.
But do you think this election, sir, political parties, including yours, would really try to address that?
that can be addressed only by economic growth, and that will take time. We all
And the
we
youth
all
is
realize,
restless, but-
and I don't think a lot of young people have time.
Exactly.
Yeah, so, and one good thing that could do later, not this election maybe, is that they'll vote more on economic issues and less on caste and religion and other things. That is a positive thing out of this urbanization and growth, young people.
And talking
all
of this
that.
political
Yeah.
atmosphere today, there are all kinds of new things happening in BJP. Of course, Mr. Modi is one name that is getting talked about. How would you look at that?
Very confused. I don't see all those surveys you do. 80 crore voters, you talk to 18,000 people and you say very definitively who is going to win how many seats. Absurd. And so therefore, I think people are confused, people are angry, all the political parties across the board.
So do we see
But
any
they have to
clear
vote.
picture? I mean, is
No.
there any third
Maybe-
front which is getting
maybe
talked
after
about?
these state elections, the focus would be on the parliament election then. Then people will have to start making their mind how they are going to
But
vote. And
are you today looking at any this idea of third front?
No, idea, the only thing I can see after the elections,
Things will-
nobody, it will be more fragmented politics. Yes.
And you're saying that these elections of assembly elections will also define some of it.
But sometimes they do, sometimes they don't, because sometimes the local issues become so important, it has no connection with what the country as a whole is thinking. Parliament elections sometimes are different. Remember one thing, in our country it's very difficult to figure out what will happen in elections, because some place in Assam, a village, his problem has nothing to do with what you and me are talking about. Same in Andhra, same any place. I mean, it's such a diverse country.
Talking about Andhra, Telangana is something which is in news, sir, and your party has.
We have been supporting Telangana. We have a presence in Telangana also.
You have a wing there of your party. You have a wing.
we
of
have
your-
wing, and I've been since 2000. I've been going there once or twice a month, and I go to Telangana villages and all that where their MPs and MLAs are not allowed to enter. So
So, but talking about Telangana, I'm reminded of your aspiration for a Harit Pradesh, and but it's of course also flagged off a lot of issues.
Issues are a little different, but UP, forget everything else. Just on administrative grounds, it's the 5th largest country by population in the world. There is no such administrative unit in the world. How can it be administered? Just on that grounds, it should be reorganized.
So, as we are trying to now wrap up, sir, Mr. Ajit Singh, Union Civil Aviation Minister, also a leader of Uttar Pradesh to reckon with. How do you look at the path ahead now? What are your milestones, goals that you are treading on?
I'm not tuned to milestones and goals. I really look at things as they come along. I do the right thing. I want to keep my conscience clear. I don't worry too much about what will happen.
Okay, so all the best, sir, and all the very best and joining the show also. We thank you for that. So that was Mr. Ajit Singh in conversation with us in this edition of The Quest. Hope you liked watching this program. Thank you, namaskar, and bye.